This is the A to Z Podcast. I'm Zach Jackson. He's Andre Knott. A to Z Podcast.com, Facebook.com/A to Z Podcast, at Dre Knott, at Akron Jackson on your favorite, or at least our favorite, social media platforms. Andre, good morning.
Talkie. Just practicing, man. Talkie.
The Browns are practicing. The Indians are whatever it is that they do. The Cavs kind of had a disappointing week. Not terrible. It's not over. Where do you want to start? I'm kind of open here.
Let's start. Yeah, that's good. And for the person that tweeted us and told us there's a lot to talk about, no shit. Thanks. We've got lives. We got other things going on. Trust me. We appreciate this. We appreciate you guys listening. If we could do 2 a week, 3 times a week, we would. This is not how life works for whatever reason with the things that we all have going on. Anyway, let's start at the lottery because, and this is to you, Pete. And Pete, I love you like a brother. When your fortunes and your happiness rely upon ping pongs, you deserve the shittiest part of life. And that goes for all you people out there pandering towards the NBA lottery, whether you're whether you're a Knicks fan, Cavs fan, whomever. I'm glad Memphis has a second pick. I wanted the hey, look, it was up to me. I want Zion. I want the best players to come here, but I'm not going to sit there and emotionally get on the roller coaster of worrying because we suck for how long. And this is something we've talked about on this podcast that I hate that we've made the status of, well, if you're not good enough, just suck really bad so you can get better. That is the shittiest way to go about trying to become better. I know it's worked. This tanking thing is taking its own, it's basically become its own thing in all sports. Everybody wants to be Sashi Barack Obama Brown. That's not what you teach the kids. You play hard. You earn what you get. You just don't roll over, play fake injured, get rid of players that could actually help you win, and then just be better all of a sudden. Expect me to, I really heard Cleveland broadcasters complaining the other night. Like, we went to 4 NBA championships in a row. Every time LeBron left, we just think we're going to get the first pick. That ain't how it works. We got to earn this shit. So congratulations to New Orleans. Congratulations to Memphis. New Orleans went through a crappy year. They went through the BS of the LeBron James Academy of Terrible Agency, even though he's got a bunch of people paid. Congrats to that. But you do not deserve to get something handed to you for doing things ass backwards and not trying to compete. So congrats, New Orleans, for the bullshit you went through. Congrats for Memphis, because most of you forgot there was even an NBA team there, and they probably were about to get sent back to Vancouver just so we would recognize that they had a team.
Well, I'll start with them. Last year they had like the 6th or 7th pick, 5th or 6th pick, I don't know. And they got Jaren Jackson, who, the trick with all these guys is they're almost exclusively one-year college players, so they're kids, right? Now, Zion has been a grown-ass man for a long time, and he showed last year playing against a lot of grown men in college basketball, not all but a lot, that he's a phenom. That was the best season since Kevin Durant by an individual player. It was probably it was certainly more physically impressive. Was it better? I don't know. Can he do that in the NBA? I don't know. But anybody was taking him, number one, right? From there, it got interesting. It gets interesting. The point is, you still were going to have to draft the right guy, trust your research, and then let him grow and learn and build around him and with him. The Cavs probably weren't going to the playoffs next year anyway, regardless of how those ping pong balls bounced, right? And they certainly weren't going to be a real contender to win anything, even if they did. Correct?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. No. In that, I'm totally with you, Dre. It's a lot. I guess it can be disappointing, but you couldn't have expected 14% anything to happen. Lightning has struck here a couple of times. It's worked out in different ways. Let me ask you this: if you're New Orleans, are you going back to Anthony Davis and his dickhead agent and saying stay? Or are you peddling him and going young and saying we are going to be here for a long, long time with this core?
I'm old school, and I'm too hard-headed. I can admit my faults. If I'm Griff, who's one of the best in the business, by the way, Dan Gilbert, you really want to cry? The guy the one guy you probably I'm okay with running LeBron. The one guy I'm not okay with running with is Dave Griff. Griff should have retired to Cleveland Cavaliers GM. But ego is what ego is. So it's no sense even getting to that. If I'm Griff, I'm already making calls to see what the Lakers, Celtics, and whomever else are willing to give me.
The Knicks?
For him. No, the Knicks, yes, as well. I would prefer to keep him. I would let him make the first step, though. I would basically say, hey, I'm the new guy in town. You try to draw your line in the sand with an old guy, and they got everybody freaking replaced and gone. I have my own cachet now with the number one pick. I don't absolutely need you, and I do have the keys to the city to send you wherever I want. So I will play a little hardball with Anthony Davis and his agent. I would basically say I get that the previous regime that has been here, previously in your first 7 seasons have not got the job done to put the right talent around you to get to that point. At the same time, I think you're a real pussycat for the way you handled everything last year. We have an opportunity right now. Is this opportunity important to you? Like, why? I wouldn't commit one way or the other if I was Dave Griffin. Right? You know what I mean? Like, Anthony Davis, what's important to you? Going to play with LeBron? Going to be in L.A.? Or let me have the keys to whatever happens to your life. Because if you really want to win, and we all believe what we believe in Zion, and you let David Griffin go, and you look at what David Griffin's done in the past, a smart agent with the right things wanted would say, what do we have to lose? Play one more year and see what they have. So that's what I would do. What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just said what sensible way to play it from a competitive and a life standpoint would be, well, I have 1 year on my contract. I've been here. This kid is a phenom. We have a new GM. We've gotten past all that went on. Like, maybe this could be really special, and it could be a great reconciliation story. Hell, you don't even need to go that deep. It could be a great story, right? If Zion,
right.
If Zion is 80% of what we want him to be, or 70% of what he can be next year, he can be a damn exciting player. And with him, Anthony Davis and Holiday and some of these other guys, right? Like, you can make some serious, like.
Hey.
Yes,
they got a good point guard. They could have some fun.
You could be a team to be reckoned with for a long time and be fun, an above the rim team, right? Lob City.
Yes. And Anthony Davis wouldn't have it would take a lot of pressure off Anthony Davis down in the paint. Like, this could work.
Yes,
but it comes down to what is Anthony Davis truly about? What does he want?
Back here in the real world, though.
Right.
I think if you're David Griffin, you obviously reach out to the agent and to Anthony Davis. Again, in the ideal world, you'd reach out to Anthony Davis, not the agent. Here, you probably reach out to the agent. And if he gives you even a lukewarm feeling, then you call the Knicks, the Lakers, the Celtics, the everyone's, right? And you say,
right,
Anthony Davis is available. The highest bidder on such and such day will get the call back. What do you want to do? Because the Knicks have the number 3 pick if you want to go total rebuild, right? They have Kevin Knox, a top 10 pick from last year, who's exciting. And if you look at, if you think Holiday is going to be your point guard for a long time, and you have to think that they probably do, then that's enticing. What the Lakers had wasn't enough. The LeBron trade rumors are a different discussion.
I don't even believe all that. I don't even believe the Lakers didn't have enough. They had plenty. I just don't think that at the time
I don't know. I wouldn't have taken Anthony Davis for Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma. No,
I would, though, with the 4th pick in the draft.
Well, now we're talking.
I would with the 4th pick and just one of those guys.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want both.
Right. Well, you get one and move one.
Right.
Obviously the Celtics have some pieces and some major issues that they're going to have to overcome.
What do they do? That's the second question I would ask you. I know the season is over, but if you're Danny Ainge, do you call Kyrie, or do you wait till Kyrie? Like, how would you handle that? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus. Imagine what's being said about him behind closed doors.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Some of those stories. if they ever come out, will be phenomenal. That's for sure.
Well, you know how this works. Sooner or later, if he ain't a Boston Celtic forever, somebody in Boston is going to twist all those stories in the air.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
All right.
Scary Terry might be telling half of them. Hell.
Larger scale question here, because we could go on and on about NBA stuff. This comes up from time to time, and it came up here. In other countries in pro sports, they don't do drafts. We do them here in America. You've mentioned you don't like the thought of tanking. You don't like the concept. You get it.
I don't.
You don't like it. You don't have to like it. Zion, Zion drove a lot of things we talked about in February and March, and even before that, is how Zion was the 1% of the 1% and really didn't apply if you're a half logical person to the arguments about college players getting paid, right? I mean, this guy,
right.
He has a name, he has a brand, he has all of these things. And if there was an open market, he would demand a max contract this June or July, just as Kevin Durant will, and Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis will a year from now, and all of those things, right? Just in general, the baseball draft is in a couple of weeks. We just came off the football draft, which has become its own season. Hell, because of that, they even put the baseball draft and the WNBA draft on TV these days. The hockey draft is also in a few weeks. I don't know shit about that, but what do you think when you hear these discussions? Obviously, change would be, if it ever came, it would be many, many times a week, because these are things that are collectively bargained. I like the discussion. I am for, in a changing world, in a changing sports landscape, the discussion and allowing these guys the opportunity in what is a small window for each and every one of them to maximize things in a world that's become individualized. But I just don't see, for a long, long time anyway, in any of the major sports, any sense in doing anything but tinkering with it, or thinking that the way we're set up, where there is no relegation, there aren't things that go on in the other countries, that the draft isn't the best policy. You can't convince me in any way, shape, or form. And like I said, I'm willing to hear the arguments. I understand some of them, but you can't convince me that it would be worth allowing these guys, especially in 2 years as the NBA shifts back to 17-year-olds being able to enter the draft, allowing these guys free reign here. I think the system works how it is.
I think the system works. I think it would be a dirtier game if you went to some kind of buying players and monopolizing. I think the finances would just get ridiculous. And as you said, the younger the guys get, the easier it is to get the parents, family, runners, you name the dirtbags that are all out there that are waiting for those opportunities. The draft, it is what it is. As you said, the three major sports, the draft is set up the way that it is. And I'm going to say kudos. I'm anti how Cleveland has taken on this whole thing. Kudos to the NBA. I think, will tanking ever go away? Absolutely not. Because if you're bad, you're bad. And that's what you're going to run with, right?
Right.
But I will say this. If you are in the front office of an NBA team, you no longer, you just be like, you know what, we're going to let such and such player sit out 6 weeks. We're going to let such and such player. Go out and win. That 14% I felt like changed the game this past week. Major League Baseball, there's so many games that teams are trying, but I don't even know if teams know how to do it. But basketball was it was so obvious that teams weren't trying to win. I'm glad it went to a weighted situation. I really am. The process worked for Philadelphia. They had a nice playoff run this year. They've got a nice nucleus of a team. We'll see where that goes. But to answer your question, at this point right now, Zach, I don't see another way to do it that would be legal. I mean, the perfect example, and I don't even know all the legalities and everything with this, so I don't want to touch it too much, is how international players have been brought over in baseball for years. Yeah. And how I know Major League Baseball's tried to start that, how you can pay a 16-year-old kid from the Dominican, you can give him $8 million today.
Right.
If you find him and you get him. I just don't think and it's always kind of been like the ruse of, well, if you're smart enough and have the right scouts to find him, he's yours. Well, on one hand, I get that, but on the other hand, is that truly a fair marketplace? And that you can pay them? Now I use $8 million. They do have some rates and ways that they stop that. But it's still, my point is, if you're the first one to find them, you pay them the most, you get them.
Yeah.
And I know Major League Baseball is fighting that, and I know the American player hates that because they can't get drafted at 16 and get handed that type of money. And that makes an unfair scale in wages, and it makes people ask, why did the Indians build a facility in the Dominican Republic? Why do you think?
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I mean, I know the one thing I know about that is that baseball has taken steps over the years to make it less of the, for a lack of a better term, the Wild Wild West, right? To at least regulate it somehow. And teams are not only doing things like that, like building a facility there, not only to do better scouting and to be first, but to be better prepared because of the situations. Because just like here with basketball, and people can perceive college basketball and these trials and the corruption how they want it, anytime you're in pursuit or money's involved of getting the best athletes and eventually making them millionaires, there's going to be people in between that are going to have their pockets out too, or want their pockets filled too, right? Their hands out, I should say.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that's how it's going to be. I mean, picture a scenario where, and this is how it is in European soccer and beyond. Picture a scenario where the Patriots right now could be negotiating with Trevor Lawrence and saying, we are going to pay you to be Tom Brady's successor in 2 years.
Right.
I like the NFL draft. What it is, it has become something that drives the popularity of the NFL, and it obviously employs so many people, the scouts and stuff that work year round trying to get the best players, and they would still have jobs in a different system because you'd still be trying to be finding the best players. But just, again, baseball, it's totally different because you have kids between 17 and 23 that are theoretically getting looked at in addition to the Dominican players, to the Caribbean players in general. In basketball, we're only one or two more drafts with the one and done rule, at least is the way it looks. That so you're scouting high school and college players and international players, most of whom are already pros. It's just the system is very different, and like I said, I'm for listening to the arguments, but there is not one thing of the listening and the reading that I've done that's convinced me that A, it's anywhere near being a reality, or B, that really any of the main points or anything other at this point in 2019 than being hot take type deals. Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt at all. I've got to go to football talk. This is hey, let me say this. Let me say this, NBA, one thing. I don't have the perfect player in mind for who they should select at 5. I will say this, and this is how things change so quickly. The beginning of the basketball season, it was thought of that the Duke Blue Devils had 3 of the top players in the whole NBA draft. We know that one of them will be gone. The upside on Cam Reddish and the other, I don't get the Cam Reddish may be really good, just wasn't good for that situation. I still like length. I still like guys that are athletic and tall and long. I wouldn't just start running some of these other names that have jumped out over the last couple months. I would go back to what I thought before those 35, 40 games played in college basketball. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I got major league concerns about Cam Reddish.
Well, I got him again about Hunter too. I can go through all the guys they put up there. And
well, I would say this, and we'll have time to argue and to nitpick and see how it goes. In this draft, I don't think that there are certainties on how it's going to go. I think there's a possibility, even though it makes sense with Mike Conley being over 30 and having 2 years on his contract, that there'd be a torch passing there. I think they might entertain selling that pick.
Right.
And I think there's some other ways this could play out. What I would say to and about the Cavs right now, and I know people say Dan's a certain way and Colin Sexton's their guy, and it's just not going to happen. But I would not be afraid to look into a lead guard in this Darius Garland, who I really loved. He only got to play about 3 or 4 college games before he suffered a season-ending injury.
It was a patella tendon, wasn't it?
Yeah. And, dropped out of school. I mean, he was a one and done anyway. He just chose Vandy instead of Kentucky or Duke. But he's really, really gifted. And if the medicals are good, and when you're the Cavs and you have a 2020 top 10 protected, and you have a kid that maybe you have to bring along slowly anyway, because of the injury situation, because he's still 19 years old, I'm not so sure. And like I said, I don't know a ton about him. I watched him play. I knew of the story. It was a big story because he went to Vandy and not one of the, big traditional blue bloods. But he's really smooth. And if he's healthy, I'm taking a long, long look there, Dre, because I think they have to play the long game. And again, you said it, you hate tanking, and everybody's disappointed. But the reality of it here is that you might not get your A headliner in this draft. And if you finish outside of the top 10 next year, you don't have a first-rounder, period. So because the system is what it is, you have to embrace where you are. And I'm looking, if I'm the Cavs, at going young, at what Kevin Love's trade value is, and positioning myself for a long future and not for the next 18 to 24 months.
If we were doing a radio show and we were begging for people to call, I would attack back and say, it's funny to me that a kid that plays 4 games blows out his patella tendons, picks a school that we all kind of scratched our head about going to. You're more curious than him than a kid that actually played, and he was up and down. I get that. But when you look, but we basically are going off the same scouting reports.
Yeah. I mean, I did see a ton more of Cam Reddish than I saw of Darius Garland. I guess my original point was, don't shy away from the lead guard because you think you have that in Sexton. Because I think I
understand that. Okay.
I
think when you put a name to it, it's hard for me to just jump right on board because it's like, all right, you get a guy with a patella tendon, you don't know if he's going to be as explosive as he used to be. He only played 3 games. You don't know what his maturity is. I can find all the red flags I can throw out there. With Cam Reddish, have we seen them? Sure. Does he play hard all the time? I can go off of that. And at the same time, I can say, what the fuck was the offense at Duke? And once Zion took off and once Jones got hurt, I would expect him to be more engaged. He wasn't. For whatever reason, I would do my due diligence on Cam Reddish is all I'm saying.
Oh,
because there was something about it. There was something about him that got him to Duke and got him to be ranked as high as he was. I don't know what happened in the 6 months at Duke. Just like with the other, like I said, there's no home run here. You got to do your homework when you have that 5th pick, and you can get a great player at the 5th pick if you do your due diligence.
You can get a great player, and you also are in position to move around because if a team, as the Cavs, you don't need a specific position or a specific player once you're out of the Zion sweepstakes, right? So you have the ability to pick up some different things and be involved in trade packages if that starts to happen. It doesn't happen as often in the NBA as it does in the NFL, but last year there was a big trade, Luka and Trae Young. Those kind of moves do happen, and especially
Dwayne Wade went 5th in the draft that had LeBron. We all know the guys in there. Chris Paul, some dude that went to Detroit 2nd overall that's probably owning pools overseas right now. 5th pick, you can get a good player. You know what you're doing.
Guy I know tweeted the other night when the Pelicans sent out the tweet of their ticket office staff going crazy. He said he worked for the Detroit Pistons ticket office when in 2003, and he said when they got Darko, he sold 1 fucking season ticket.
I will never forget them not taking Carmelo Anthony and taking Darko.
And that's at the time that they were good too. The Pistons were good then.
Right. They were really good. They were coming. That was Joe Dumars, and Joe Dumars is the perfect. And that's not his GM and thing goes. It's just like anything else in life. Joe Dumars was thought of as one of the highly most respected GMs in the game because of that team that he put together, getting Rasheed when he got him, getting back to back, and then that draft began the beginning of his downfall as the general manager of the Detroit Pistons, and he hasn't been in charge of a team since.
Yeah. Listen, all these guys, I don't care what sport, you know their name because they make a lot of money from your favorite team because they've been around for a long time. They're all staking their futures and their millions on children, right? 17 to 23. Yep. And they're all 1 or 2 bad decisions, sometimes 1, from everything being completely different one way or the other, right? And it's a high-pressure, high-stakes game. We've seen it. We've seen guys not be able to handle it. We've seen greed overtake guys. We've seen guys be successful, and then they want to major in the minor. They want to nitpick. They want to talk about how great they are, and then that one pick shows they're not so great, and it all unravels quickly. And obviously, I'm not trying to tell this 20-year story of the Cleveland Browns here. I'm generally all sports, right? The truth with John Dorsey is that 50% is an incredible hit rate on GMing in the NFL. He's above that right now. He's 18 months into the job. That's it. Is regression coming? Is reality coming? Can he do this? You got to hit the big ones. It changes so fast, really, Dre, in every sport that something that's a miss now could be a hit, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Probably more commonly, more frequently, 6 months from now. But you just never know. You try to build the right combination. I think in all the sports, the Moneyball concept, where all of these guys are assets, is more than ever. And let's get to that right now. LeBron James is a once-in-a-lifetime basketball player. LeBron James is still, I think, has good years left, even though this was a disaster on and off the court. But for the first time, Dre, he's a tradable asset. And I'm not saying that they're going to. I'm not saying it's the right thing. Hell, we don't even know who's running the team, right? Well, Rob Pelinka is. But we have no idea what their plan is, because this was LeBron and Magic, and we knew it was the ultimate win or bust situation, and it already busted, and the Magic walked away. The Lakers right now are positioned. The only good thing that's happened to them in many months is getting the 4 pick. They don't seem to be a prime free agent destination, at least not now, 6 weeks out from when it starts. This is LeBron's age 35 season coming up. He's only under contract for 2 years. So it is not crazy to say. And again, let's talk about how logical it may or may not be. But it absolutely is not crazy to say that they need to explore what they could get for LeBron James right now and over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
I think it's wasted breath.
I don't think so. You're going to have to sell me on this.
It is. Huh?
You're going to have to sell me on this, because I think it's anything but.
Well, it's LeBron Ramon fucking James. If he don't want to get traded, there's plenty of ways for him not to get traded. Plenty of ways for him to play. It's not like he can get traded to anyone. The trade register, it would be so difficult. I mean, I'm not saying you cannot do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't look into it. I think once again, it would be very New York Jets or Giants-like to swing for the fences and get something like this and then change your mind 6 months later or a year later. It says more about your organization than it does the player. And I just think trying to move him, it's fun to talk about. I just think at the end of the day, with the power that he has within the league and the power of who he is and what he is, and the unfortunate ability to keep this quiet and surprise people, I just never see it happening, Zach. I just don't see it as something that can really, truly happen, because any team that gets him or wants him is going to want to talk to him. And if he don't want to go to says team, he's not going to let it. He's not going to just sit back and let it ride. So, yeah, it's fun. It's something but to me, it's a video game thing. Lakers, you have them, you stick with them. And if you're the Lakers, come on, let's be real. Okay, he's only got 3 years left. He's the best talent you've had since Kobe, before Kobe busted up his Achilles. You really that cocky? Are you really that aware? You really think you're going to be that much better without him? That's what I go back to. He's the best talent the Lakers have had since Kobe Bryant was healthy. And you're just willing to just throw that out when you're the LA Lakers? That's scary to me. So, yeah, I know it's good fodder. I just can't buy into it completely yet.
Okay. These are not hard and fast scenarios that I'm going to throw out here, guys. So really don't tweet me the particulars, please. If you're the Knicks and you can sign KD or Kyrie, you wouldn't trade the 3 pick and Kevin Knox as a starting point to the Lakers to try to get LeBron and let the Lakers have picks 3 and 4 and start a rebuild and give them a chance to move on?
Sounds great. Yes, I think the Lakers would have. They'd have a Browns-like parade going outside Staples Center.
Okay, if you're Philly and you could trade, and you could start with Ben Simmons to have LeBron James be your point guard instead of Ben Simmons, the Lakers could have their marketable star in addition to the 4 pick or whatever they wanted to do with it. You're telling me that's not realistic?
They better get somebody that can shoot. And he's already got girlfriend problems out there in L.A. with the Kardashians. Yeah, sounds great.
You're right. They have to get somebody that can shoot. The difference is with Ben Simmons, they got 5 or 6 years to find somebody that can shoot. With LeBron James, they got 6 fucking weeks to find somebody that can shoot.
I'm not trying to be the wet. I swear, I'm not trying to be the bull of this podcast. I'm not. Like, 'cause that's realistic.
Okay.
But and they've been messing up light skinned brothers for a minute out in LA. Leave Ben Simmons alone. I mean, he can't already shoot.
Speaking of Ben Simmons,
those are 2 good ones.
Speaking of Ben Simmons, I want to say this on the podcast because I said that Raj called me on the phone the other day about something. I don't know what it was. Probably something I wouldn't repeat even on this podcast.
Yeah.
And we got in this discussion. And I love Zion. And I think Zion has the chance to be really good. However, I think it's important to note, just from my own watching, and I'm not a scout, that when I watched Ben Simmons at LeBron's camp, when I watched Andrew Wiggins many times in person through his high school career, when those guys were that age, they were so athletically superior to the guys they were playing against. It was almost like they were a different species of human, right?
Right.
And that's what Zion is. So maybe he just is that, and maybe he is the next Charles Barkley with a more polished game and a better smile and all of those things. But that just always concerns me, Dre.
He's one of the top 40 players of all time, though.
I know. I'm just saying, that concerns me in an era where, and again, going back to LeBron and this analytics thing, where just shot makers and scorers are just so valued, and we know Ben Simmons will never be a shooter, right? He's gotten better. He'll get a little bit better. He's never going to scare anybody. I mean, the teams are begging him to shoot the basketball. We've seen Andrew Wiggins just become another athletic guy in the league, right? I wanted to throw that concern out there that I have because I've seen it in the last 5 years play out that way.
Well, Simmons, I mean, I will say this about Simmons. He had a definite immediate impact. I see this with baseball players, too, young baseball. They come up, you see what they can hit or what they can throw, and for about a month, they blow everybody away, and then the league adjusts, and then you find out who you really are. Simmons has gone through the adjustment, and he has to shoot the ball better. It's point blank. It's like he is a special player, and once he gets a 15-footer or 20, he's got to get something. He has nothing right now, and in the playoffs, it's hard to watch him because he regresses to a point where he's not this great, beautiful ball player that he should be, even though he cannot shoot. It's frustrating. Because to be that talented and to be able to get that many people involved and then just to lose all your confidence because of that stinks. Now, with the Zion thing, I see what you're saying, but I think his athletic ability is the 1 percentile. And that wasn't the case with Andrew Wiggins, very good athlete. That's not the case with Simmons, very good athlete. Zion is a 1 percenter.
Yeah, I mean, I want to make it clear that Zion is like none of these guys. The dunks, the powerful explosion, and he did shoot it well.
Yeah.
And you say it, you're right. They all kind of learned to shoot. LeBron at 19 was not much of a shooter either. He's gotten tremendously better, and they can. I just don't see it with Ben Simmons, and with Wiggins,
I don't either. He has to get better at that, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt.
Give me another LeBron trade before I ask you about the kill.
Okay.
I like him, and I know I've come off very bullish against it, just like no. But give me one more because the next one would be I could see maybe talking LeBron into that. Maybe I can see why the Lakers would do it. I think Laker fans would just tell you to go to hell though. I think if you told the Laker fans we're just going to get young and we're going to have the 4th pick and 3rd pick, I think they would have a 0-for-16 type parade.
Yeah,
and take down.
They might.
Philadelphia. Did you say a Philadelphia one?
LeBron would love Utah. It's beautiful in the winter.
Oh my God! He would quit. He would take his ball and go home.
What about the Spurs? They don't have enough young pieces, do they?
No. I was thinking the Mavericks. You can put him with but the Mavs gave up all their young stuff. Get Porzingis, who got his ass beat the other day back at home.
Yeah.
This is we'll continue.
Okay. Well, all right. Will you admit that it's more realistic than you thought 5 minutes ago, or not?
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought it was realistic, Zach. I swear. I just, at the end of the day, just because of the first name attached, it's hard for me to. I get it. Like in any other player, it would be done. I just think the Lakers are getting run by. No offense, Jeannie Buss, you're beautiful to look at. That's a TV show. That's not a real NBA franchise. Like it's not. Look at how it's being run and how they're doing things. So I don't take them serious. I don't think they know what they're doing. They have the prestige. That's great. But they don't know what they're doing. So, all
right. Well, let's leave it at this. Let's leave it at this. From a basketball standpoint, there are probably a lot more sensible Lakers LeBron trades than we either said or could say in another hour, which we don't have.
Absolutely.
However, your point is well taken in that it's never just about basketball. His move to LA wasn't about basketball.
No.
But in today's climate, again, he still might be a top 3 player in this league for the next 2 or 3 years. He might be. That might be a little bit of a stretch. I don't know. I think you can say that as safely as you can say. It's stupid to totally write him off, even if you think these other guys are ascending and it's going a certain way. I just think if you're the Lakers, you look at what you have. It's not good enough. There's no direction to it. He has got you by the balls. He's under contract for 2 years. He's going to be 35. All these things I've already said. And you've got to decide who do we really want to have if we're ever going to be the relevant Lakers again, and how can we do that? I don't think it's pick number 4 in this draft to get you to the next step, right? I don't think it's the B list of the A list free agents, B or C list of the A/B list free agents that are going to come available, because I don't think you're getting Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, or Kyrie Irving this summer. I don't think that's happening, right? So
their fourth pick has to be Anthony Davis, and they've got it, and then they end up with Jamie Foxx of the Philadelphia 76ers. You guys know him as Butler. That's what's going to happen. Like that's their come up. Is it great?
I would rather see
win a playoff round.
I would rather see Philly keep Harris, preferably Harris over Butler. He's a better shooter. Trade Simmons for LeBron and go that route.
I hear you. I just don't think it'll happen. I hear what you're saying. I think we have a better chance of seeing my scenario than yours. Not that one's right or wrong.
No.
I think it's easier to let Butler go. And Butler signs a 3-year max type deal. They make a trade for Anthony Davis for that 4th pick, and you kind of go from there. That's just what I think is coming when it comes to the Lakers, and you hope that you get hot and the right injury happens. Hell, all right, you know the team that we didn't bring up, and I know they don't have the youth. What if you could swing a deal with the Houston Rockets? Because they have no idea who they are.
They have nothing. That's funny. That just came to my mind, but they have absolutely nothing to give. You know,
they got nothing to give, right? Yeah. But I mean, it's a team that has nothing. All right, I got to ask you this as we get towards.
All right. Well, what about two of the young Celtics for LeBron?
Oh yeah, I would do that. But would Boston and the Lakers ever make a trade?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know what I mean? All right. So that might be realistic.
Well, the way the Lakers are being run right now, you might get Semi Ojeleye for LeBron. So. I've just always wanted to say his name on the podcast. That's where that came from.
That's like me starting off with Taki because I just want to make sure I get it in there.
Yes.
Enough on our LeBron trade. Look, I would love for it to happen. It's not going. I don't think it's going to happen. I love the conversation, and I want to keep it going. And tweet us and don't tweet us bullshit, because if you notice, I don't even try with the bullshit anymore. But if you got a legit trade that you think could be made for LeBron, tweet it at us. I got to ask about the kilt himself. What is the game being played by OBJ to show up for one? Because here's the deal. Flying into Cleveland for one day, and I'm from here. That shit don't make sense to me. It almost seems like OBJ is playing a game of cat and mouse. And I hate that it feels this way, but it feels this way.
It does.
What do you take out of just this week in the OTAs? And look, I don't really care. Like it doesn't mean you're going to win a championship or lose a championship because of what happens on May 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. Yeah, some things are being built and processed and put in, but it's not. I'm not going to sit here and get on top of a. I'm not going to get on top of a whatchamacallit. Sit here and tell you.
Well, yeah, because you're not tall enough anyway. Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's fine, but I'll throw it through you. What is really being accomplished by what he's doing? Because if anything, he's giving people like Tony Grossi a pulpit to sit there and get more tan and think that he knows what he's talking
that's
about.
The last person that means anything. I
believe super last.
I believe he construed to both the GM and the head coach that he would be at one a week or thereabouts, and that they were fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
I'm not saying
if you can make that type of schedule, you make that type of schedule.
Yeah,
it goes back to what I originally said. There's certain guys that have the cachet to do whatever the fuck they want.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of them.
He's
one of them.
All along, Jerry, any sport, any level, right? Coaches will tell you, yeah, we have to get our practice in. Yes, we have to work on this. But it's important for the guys to be around, right, to bond. And I think OBJ does have a level of cachet. He does have a level of fame that hasn't been anywhere close to anybody here has had for a long, long time, right? Maybe ever. Because when the Browns had that, the sports world wasn't what it was today. In the 80s, Browns were huge local heroes where there was Ozzie a national commodity in the early 80s. I don't know. I can't speak to that, right?
No, I can't speak to that.
Bernie went to one Pro Bowl, right?
Right.
More AFC championship games and Pro Bowls, which is what matters. But anyway, he had that. I do think he could have endeared himself to his new teammates by being around a little more. However, it is a different world. These guys live differently. They know him. His teammates say glowing things about him. And, man, when
what else are they going to say? Right? But they don't give me that one. What else are they going to say?
Okay.
Right now?
Well, when there's 90 guys, you're not really building the team until you go through some adversity anyway. And I hate to exactly quote Freddie, but this is the optimism train run around. When you do show up for practice, wear as many colors as you can for the social media cameras, right? Like that's just what it is. That's not get off my lawn. That's not taking a side.
No, you're being right. You're right.
I mean, so I truly don't believe that anything except Freddie Kitchens' breath is lost in this whole deal. I really don't. And I have not been afraid to take the Browns or any individual player to task if I thought that. It's not ideal. He is who he is. The Browns knew that. The Browns know that. The Browns have goals that are really big. He's a part of that. And they're way down the road from here. And this is something they have to get through. And honestly, I think the team might be better for having 7 receivers dressed yesterday, none of whom has played more than a year and a half in the NFL. Right, and those guys get the reps, and those guys get coached up by Jarvis on the sideline. So, I am big on the value of things you can't see, including guys who are looked up to being around. I mean, you're as good as your leaders are in a lot of cases when you're good enough, and we think the Browns are either good enough or getting close. But it is May, man. Right. It is not football season, and when they get to LA or wherever it is that they do their off-season grind that he leads, that Baker will be a part of. That's important.
That'll be 10 times more important than OTAs anyway.
Yeah, in training camp, when it's an actual competitive scenario, it is important. Jimmy's and Joe's, right?
I mean, I've always said OTAs are more or less. Did my right tackle gain 60 pounds, and I got to get him back in shape. Does my cornerback, is he still able to run a 4.40? Or has he lost a step? Or did his girlfriend cut his finger off and he can't catch anymore? Like, you laugh, but to me, it's more of, it's like basketball. It's like I always thought, you and I always talk about during basketball season. Why do they have shoot-arounds at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning on day of games? Not because they're going to put in, this big offensive move that they're going to do, to make sure the 15 guys are still alive and haven't killed themselves the night before.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's what OTAs
is. To make sure everyone is present and accounted for. Yes.
Right. That's what OTAs are for. To me, if you're going to make the fucking step of coming to Cleveland, Ohio, just practice for a week and go away. It's eyewash. It's definitely eyewash.
Or show up and don't practice, right?
Right.
Show up in the meetings, coach up that undrafted rookie. Yes.
Make that kid feel good about himself.
I'll take that. But I honestly think the only thing lost is Freddie talking about it and people getting mad. But at the same time, it's another. But here's the other thing: you got a first-time coach. Everything is not going to go perfect for Freddie. No. And look, I want the Browns to be successful. So anybody listening to this, don't take that. This is a sensible conversation of what truly happens with professional teams.
you're just giving him one other headache he has to deal with before the job even starts. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one other thing that's like, well, he's going to go through some shit because that's how the job works. But when you got to go through this to start the season off, it just comes off as something that at the end of the day, it's like, really? Freddie's got to talk about this every single day now? When he's still trying to install how his offense is going to run, how he's going to call plays, how coaches are going to go about doing things. It's just a pain in the ass. We're all in this together. And why am I getting this extra pain in the ass to start my career off as a coach of the Cleveland Browns? And I'll say this. And everybody, like I said, everybody's got their, it's a caveat to this. Everybody has their own cachet. Everybody gets away doing what they want to do. But when you start making rules and letting rules go a certain way for certain people, we all know that then that suddenly makes it way easier for people to, where I'm going.
That's true, but doesn't that apply much more to actual football months and not spring?
Yeah, no doubt. But do you think OBJ, for his probably the last 13 years of his football career and life, the rules have been a little bit different for him?
Well, sure. And I think that's how guys do things. And I think that's probably a big part of why certain people in the Giants organization were willing to move on. And then at some point, everybody was willing to move on. However,
right.
Yeah.
I like him.
Okay.
I like him. I'm glad that he's here.
Look, this is a story because the Browns are a playoff contender, right? Like, the last guy I can remember doing this was Carlos Dansby. We're talking 5 years ago, and that's because he was an older, established player, and he told the coaches, hey, I got stuff I do with my outside businesses and with my family, and I'm going to be here this day for OTAs, and I'm not going to be here the other days. And Carlos Dansby, in 2014, until he got hurt, balled his ass off, right? Now, he's not Odell by any stretch of any imagination. I'm just saying this is what goes on. I would say this is a story because Odell makes the Browns different, right? Theoretically. Yes. And that's all anything is in March, April, May. Yes. Theoretically.
Yeah.
And it is a story because I think if you went around the locker room to the 80-some guys that are here and said, do you understand why Duke Johnson's doing what he was doing? They might not all like it. I think most of them would nod and say, we understand, right? I think if you went to those same 80 guys and you said, do you understand why Odell's not here because he's taking pictures of himself? Probably not all of them would understand. However, they're all in the business of first securing their own checks and secondly, eventually winning games. And Odell helps them win games. And as long as what I've said lines up, as long as he's going to work when he's here, as long as he's going to do the right things, and as long as when it's time to really ratchet it up and compete, which starts in the end of July and then kind of builds up from there, then none of this matters because half those guys that you'd go around the locker room right now are not going to be here and will not factor in winning and losing. Period.
All right, I got to do Konnichiwa. I'm at the park, and we somehow avoided talking baseball. Indians are here for like 11 days. They don't win like 7 or 8 of them. There's going to be a lot of bullshit going around. There's your baseball minute. Love everybody. Hope everybody has a great week.
I went to a baseball game the other night. It was not the Indians. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time on AC.